Barun Kumar Jha, Training Associate Primary and Headmaster, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, G at Mysore. Here I am presenting designing training programs. So, friend, as you all know that for doing anything we have to put our 200% efforts. And there is one sloka in Sanskrit which tells us that we have to do this rigorous efforts. Sloka is like this: Uddhime naiv siddhanti karyani na manorathe nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. Without rigorous efforts, nothing can be accomplished, just like a deer does not enter a lion's mouth on its own without him going for a hunt. So that way we have to put on efforts to make any program successful. And then there is one more saying in Sanskrit text, Vedic text, that is like this: Nachaur haryang, nacharaj haryang, nachabhratri bharyang, nachabharakari, vyaye krite vardhate ev nityam vidyadhanam sarvadhana pradhanam. So it can neither be plundered by a thief, nor can be squeezed by the king, cannot be divided by brothers, and does not fall on consumption. The more the education is spent, the more it grows. And one more shloka: Vidya prashasyate lokaihi vidya sarvatra gaurava vidyaya lavate sarvam vidwan sarvatra pujyate. Knowledge is extolled by everyone. Knowledge is considered great everywhere. One can attain everything with the help of knowledge. Person is respected everywhere. And then, of course, yoga karma sukoslam. If you want to be skilled in your action, if you want perfection in your action, you have to do yoga. And yoga is nothing but the coordination of mind, body, and soul. So with this, one can gain knowledge. And then gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step to humanity. And here I am going to share the knowledge which I gained here in G at Mysuru. And of course, I have done DTS and DOT from Reputed Institution ISTM, that is the DOPT, Government of India. Well, friend, now I'll come to the point regarding our topic. What are the objectives of this topic, designing training programs? So, one by one, I'll go through this. So, after completing this session, you should be able to know the meaning and significance of training design, know the various training design models, identify the factors to be taken into account for designing a training program, understand the motivational dynamics of trainees, understand the process of training design. I hope I'm not fast. Then, what is the meaning and significance of training design? So, after assessing training needs, which we can collect from the trainees, the training manager or trainer will come to know whether training is the right solution to the performance or compliance problem. If training is seen as solution to the problem, then the training process moves to the next stage, designing a program. Designing successful training programs requires not only a thorough understanding of the training problem, but also a well-stated definition of the results to be achieved and a thought-out plan for achieving those results. Design is a planning activity which, in the context of training, refers to number one, the framework for analyzing a training problem, defining the intended outcome, determining how to present the content to learners to achieve those outcomes, developing the training course according to the design, implementing the course, evaluating its effectiveness, and devising follow-up activities. Designers or trainers will have to consider certain important factors from this perspective before designing a program, and the three perspectives are: number one, cost; number two, availability; and number three, appropriateness. Training designers or trainers will have to answer the following questions: what materials will be required to implement the program in a particular way? What media will be used? What specialized expertise will be required for implementation of this design? The basic elements of an effective training design are: it is learner focused, or we can say learner centered. It should be based on identified needs. So for that only TNA is done prior to the training, planning of the training. Then it has measurable objectives, and we can say smart objectives that we'll discuss further in the next video. It is goal oriented. It is time bound. It has taken into the the training program for which we are going to discuss it. Training design is nothing but a training plan and involves three activities: stating the training objectives, identifying the learning activities as well as methodologies, sequencing the activities in which they have to be held for meaningful learning. And then, of course, we would like to know about training design models. Designers of learning programs should first explore existing models before starting to design. Below are two training models that trainers use while designing training programs. Number one, instruction system development model. Number two, transitional model. So we'll discuss these in brief in the subsequent slides. Instruction system development model. What is this? So in this, we have to plan certain training program, and then we have to develop, and finally we have to execute, and then do the analysis after getting feedback from participants, feedback from organizers also. Uh, the instructional system development model comprises of five stages. First, one is analysis. This phase consists of training need assessment, job analysis, and target audience analysis. Second phase, planning. This phase consists of setting goal of the learning outcome, instructional objectives that measures behavior of a participant after training, types of training material, media selection, methods of evaluating the trainer, and the training program, strategy to impart knowledge, that is selection of content, sequencing of content, etc. Then third phase is about development. So this phase translates design decisions into training material. It consists of developing course material for the trainer, including handouts, workbooks, visual aids, demonstration, props, etc. Course material for the trainee, including handouts of summary. Fourth phase is execution. This phase focuses on logistical arrangements such as arranging speakers, equipment benches, podium, food facilities, cooling, lighting, parking, and other training accessories. Then, fifth phase is evaluation. The purpose of this phase is to make sure that the training program has achieved its aim in terms of subsequent work performance. This phase consists of identifying strengths and weaknesses and making necessary amendments to any of the previous stages in order to remedy or improve failure practices. Transitional model. This is second model which we are discussing now. Transitional model focuses on the organization as a whole. The outer loop describes the vision, mission, and values of the organization on the basis of which training model, that is inner loop, is executed. The mission, vision, and values precede the objective in the inner loop. This model considers the organization as a whole. The objective is formulated keeping these three things in mind, and then the training model is further implemented. Transitional model. Here you can see how we plan and then implement and evaluate. There are certain objectives, and when we talk about organization point of view, there is vision, mission, value, then unstructured experimentation, and then realization. So all these things are called transitional model. Transition model, while I was just explaining vision. So what is vision? So vision focuses on the milestones that the organization would like to achieve after the defined point of time. Mission. What is mission? Explain the reason of organizational existence. Values. Values is the translation of vision and mission into communicable ideals. Factors to be considered for designing training. The manager or trainer has to take several aspects into account while designing a training program. What are those points? Previous knowledge, skills, and position in the hierarchy, learning styles, previous experience, business or organizational purpose, training characteristics, nature of learning, resources. So, motivational dynamics. The manager or trainer will also need to tailor the contents and teaching style to the motivational dynamics of trainees. Most trainees go through three phases of motivation as under. The number one is initial stage. Here, the trainee's primary learning goal is getting started in learning enough material to proficiently handle the routine tasks. Most trainees go through three phases of motivation as under. So, what is the second point? So, second point is intermediate stage. So, learners have mastered routine tasks and gained confidence. They want to learn how to handle routine tasks more efficiently and how to handle some less common tasks. And then third and final one is matured stage. At this stage, the learning attains a kind of maturity, and trainees feel humble to be learned people. This is the realization stage, and most trainees are aware of the limits of their capabilities. Then further, we have to discuss motivational dynamics. So, managers, trainers should also consider the learning styles of people. Such styles can be classified as dependent learners who prefer instructor-led approach, collaborative learners who prefer learning by group work practice, and third one is independent learners who want to learn on their own, whether facilitated or not by the trainer. So process of training designs. So what are the processes that we have to think about while designing training? So designing a training program involves a series of steps from identifying the learning objectives, determining the training content, deciding the methodologies, selecting the learning activities, defining evaluation criteria, and to specifying follow-up activities. Even though it is the standard sequence of activities, trainers may have some variations depending upon the situations. So, identifying the training objectives are of great significance from a number of stakeholders' perspectives. So, who are those stakeholders? So, trainee, trainer, designer, and then evaluator, as you can see in the picture. Determining training contents. The major activities involved in the action plan are identifying the program contents and activities, dividing program contents into subtopics, segregating the contents and activities into knowledge, skill, and attitude related, organizing the content sequentially, selecting training methods. Training methods can be broadly classified into two groups: on the job approaches like job instruction training, job rotation, coaching, mentoring, etc. Off the job approaches like classroom training, seminars, workshops, etc. Identifying learning activities and developing lesson plan. There are some basic rules for developing lesson plans. There should be proper sequencing of learning. The training manager or trainer should prepare an instructor guide. The trainer should ensure that the morning sessions are used for difficult topics, subject to proper sequencing. Defining evaluation criteria. So, training design is incomplete if it does not contain evaluation criteria. The objectives of the evaluation are to see how far the training program was effective enough in meeting the training objectives, specifying follow-up activities. Following questions while specifying follow-up activities and has to find answers for them in advance. Whom can the trainee ask if he requires any guidance while practicing at workplace? What should the trainee do for his part to master the taught skills? Can those trainees who fail to meet the predetermined standards of performance be retrained? So that's all from my side. Now we would like to hear feedback or queries from you, and for that you can send me comment or you can send email or you can contact. Thank you very much.